everyone, and welcome to The Bubbling Adventure, a podcast all about kids and how educating them positively can impact their entire life as well as society. Each week, we're having conversations with guests on different themes, and our aim is to have open discussions, share different points of view, and learn in a non-judgmental way. Today, we're welcoming Coralie, who is a single mom I actually know personally as she's part of my family. This episode particularly touched me, and it was so interesting to learn more about what happened to her and her son Thomas as he developed social anxiety following a traumatic event. But without further ado, let's begin.
Maman, maman, en faisant cette chanson.
Papa, papa, en faisant cette chanson.
Maman, papa, maman, papa.
Hi Coralie, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Hi, Julie. Thank you. I'm doing very well, and I'm so pleased to be connected with you today.
It's a real pleasure for me. Thank you so much for being here. Could I please ask you to introduce yourself?
Yes, so my name is Coralie. In a few weeks, I am going to be 50 years old.
No way.
And yes, and I have a 19-year-old son who is called Thomas. We are both from France. We were both born in Lyon, France. And I was raised from the age of 6 years old to 22 years old in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. At the age of 22, I chose to go back to France to reconnect with my origins and my family, which you are a part of. Thank you.
I am.
And initially, I had thought going back for 1 year, and I ended up staying 24 years. That's how much I enjoyed spending.
But you loved us so much you had to come back.
Yes, exactly. And so I got married in France to a French man. We had a son in 2001. And unfortunately, a few years later, after Thomas' birth, we divorced. I continued living in France so that Thomas and his dad would continue their relationship, because that is something I did not have when I was younger. I did not know my dad. So I thought it important for Thomas and his dad to continue seeing each other and maintain that relationship. And then in 2017, Thomas and I decided to come and live back in Vancouver, Canada. So that's where we are right now.
Amazing, great. And I imagine it must have been hard. Was it an easy decision for Thomas to make to move to Canada?
Actually, the initial decision came from Thomas, because I had always thought that I might not be coming back to live in Canada until Thomas was really an adult and had his own life. So I had always told myself that I would not ask Thomas to move to Canada, because the relationship with his dad and his stepbrothers being so important, because he has two stepbrothers, that as a person, as a human, I could not break that relationship by taking Thomas and bringing him to Canada. So at a point in our life, I was living with somebody new, Richard, that Thomas and Richard got along really well. But at some point after 8 years of living together, Richard and I's paths kind of deviated. So we separated, and on very good terms, because even now from Canada, we communicate regularly, and he's still a very precious friend. But at that time, I told Thomas, okay, Richard and I are going to be separating. Don't worry, we're going to find an apartment in Miribel. We were living in Miribel at that time. We're going to find an apartment. Everything's going to be fine. We'll still see Richard once in a while and whatever. And at that time, Thomas said, well, why don't we go live in Canada? I said, are you kidding? And he said, no, I'd love to live in Canada. He'd been here already 3 times for a month at a time to stay with my mom. And so then we started thinking about that for 3 months. I'd tell him, well, your friends won't be close, family will be far. It's not that easy. And he still wanted to do it. So he asked permission to his dad. His dad said, okay, I knew this was going to be coming one day or another. So, okay, you can go. And so Tama and I packed up and came here.
Amazing. What a change.
Yes.
Well, I think it's great that it was coming from him, and
Yes.
in a way he wanted to connect with a part of
With
you.
my part of my origins, yes.
That's sweet.
Yes.
And so something happened to Thomas a few years ago.
Yes.
Obviously, I know, but I'd
Yes.
rather you tell us in your own words.
Yes. Yes. It's a very long story, and I can't give all the information, but I can summarize it. There was two issues. So first of all, the more minor issue was that Thomas suffered a sports accident in school where they were building a human pyramid. And of course, Thomas, being a big, strong boy, he was at the bottom of the pyramid. And when the pyramid crashed, somebody fell on Thomas' back in the middle of his shoulder blades. And he suffered a condition that is now called scapular dyskinesia, which is basically that the shoulder blade muscles lost all the information on how to function. And so this is very painful. When it flares up, Thomas stays blocked for days and days at a time. So one day, the school called me to say that Thomas was blocked. So I went there. When arriving there, I saw that he was really blocked. I had never seen him that much in pain. So we decided to take him to the emergency room. An ambulance came and took him to the emergency room. I followed the ambulance with my car. And there, unfortunately, we met a doctor who had no sympathy for the pain Tama was going through. And looking back on it, I think that the doctor thought that Tama was faking it to be out of school or something like that. So he manipulated Thomas' back in the wrong way, which made Thomas faint and be in extreme pain. And it's just, I hate talking about this experience. So at that point, I was completely panicked as a mom. So I took my phone and I called Thomas' dad, who also lived very close to us. And I said, hey, you have to come out here. I don't know what's happening with Thomas. So his dad left work in a rush, came out to see us. We stayed the whole day in the emergency room. And in the afternoon, Thomas was feeling much better. They had given him pain medicines. And so he was feeling much better. And to cheer Thomas up, Christophe is Thomas' dad, Christophe announced to Thomas that he was getting divorced from his second wife, which was very good.
To cheer him up?
Yes, to cheer him up, because Thomas had a very hard relationship with Christophe's second wife. Christophe's second wife never accepted Thomas as part of the family. She was abusive to him, verbally, physically, mentally, and she had a very negative, huge impact on who Thomas is now. He doesn't think he's good looking. He thinks he's fat. All these things that she put in his mind. He thinks he's dumb. All these things she put in his mind that even now he has trouble getting rid of. So it was good news for Thomas. So Thomas was thrilled. He congratulated his dad, told his dad this was the...
So it kind of felt like a fresh start for
Yes,
everyone.
a fresh start for his dad, because this woman was also verbally and physically abusive with the dad, and Thomas would see that. So he was just so happy his dad was going to get out of this situation. So end of the day, we go home. Thomas sleeps that night and has nightmares all night long. The next day he wakes up and he's not feeling well. He's scared. He doesn't want to leave his room. So I'm not really realizing what's happening yet. And I'm thinking that it's the traumatizing experience that he lived with the doctor. I'm just trying to say, come eat at the table. And he's, oh no. So I'm thinking also his back is still sore. He's still on pain medicines. So I leave him be. The second night, still all sorts of nightmares, like he's going to die or people are hunting him down or just horrible, horrible things. he wakes up, he's not feeling good. He doesn't want to leave his room. He doesn't want to get out of his bed. And that's when I started to think, hey, this is not normal, because Thomas is somebody who always wants to go outside, always wants to see people, always wants to talk, and he's really folding back in himself. So I start talking to him. I say, hey, what's going on? And he says, I don't know. If I think about leaving my bed, I get heart palpitations. I don't feel well. I feel like throwing up. My head is turning. And I'm like, whoa, this is kind of weird. So I call our general practitioner, our doctor, who says, okay, well, bring Tama out to me and we'll see. So I wasn't able to take Tama to the appointment because Tama did not want to leave the apartment. So I said, okay.
So that was on the day after the
Yeah,
accident?
the second day.
Okay.
So I asked the doctor to come and see us. And that's when the doctor said that Tama was living a post-traumatic stress disorder. And at first we were really thinking that it was related 100% to the doctor we had seen in the emergency room. But as the days and weeks moved forward and this was not getting better, we started realizing that it was also all of the trauma that Tama had lived with his dad's ex-wife during 13 years, because they had a 13-year period together. When his dad announced that he was leaving this woman, overnight, all that trauma that he'd been holding back came out. So as a mom, it was very difficult to live, and I might even cry if I talk about it. It was very difficult to live because not having realized during 13 years what my son was living on the other side, I took it as like I was a failure to my son. I hadn't protected him as I wanted. So it's very hard. Even now to speak about it, it's very hard. Thomas has explained to me since during counseling sessions that he did not want to say things to me about what he was living or what was happening, because I'd automatically go back to Christophe and his wife and talk to them about it. And Thomas was scared that it would accentuate what she was doing to him. So he was auto-protecting himself from it not getting worse by leaving me out of it. So then we had the whole discussion about, I'm your mom, I'm here to protect you and everything. But yeah, so it was very hard. Once all that was over with our doctor, we decided that we had to find help for Thomas. So we were still living in France at the time. We found him counseling with a psychologist that he was going to see once a week. And our doctor had given him little exercises to do that we had to try to get out of the house twice a day. So it would start by just opening the front door and closing it because he couldn't go any farther. Then the next day it would be maybe opening the front door, going 2 steps, coming back in. So we were doing these regularly to build up and up and up, which worked quite well.
So just to recap, at first he was only in his bed, then around the flat, and then outside more and more progressively.
Yes, progressively going outside. And then one day we were able to go around the building, so it was very progressive every day. And then we would write down, when we came back in, we would write down the daily progress and celebrate the daily win.
And so how long did it take for him to actually be able to go outside?
About a week to 10 days. And in a period of 3 months, he was able to regain a normal life.
Mm-hmm.
We did sophrology and counseling. That worked pretty good on him. Then I asked him, because we had already planned to move to Canada when this happened. So I asked him, do you want me to cancel?
Oh, right. So in the middle of everything.
Yes. Do you want me to cancel our trip? We can do this next year. We can do this whenever. And he said, no, I still want to go. I want to go. So we continued. We moved countries and everything. We arrived here. Tama was feeling okay. Then he started school here. And one day at school here, I got a call from the school that Tama's back was blocked. So I go to school and pick him up. It wasn't as bad as the time in France, so I was able to take him home, give him his pain medicines and all. But I think in his mind, it re-triggered what happened with the doctor and the whole vicious circle of things. So we started up again with the anxiety, with the everything. We were getting it better and better. Then there was days that were better, and then there was a big fall, and then you'd have to build up again. It's not a progressive thing. So I decided to take a year off work. I asked my employer, can I take a year off to support my son? So they said, yes, of course you can, but we're not going to pay you. I said, okay, I don't care, because the most important thing is my son. After that year, when Thomas was still not able to have me leave the house for 8 or 10 hours a day, and my workplace was almost an hour away.
Okay, so at this point, he wasn't able to leave the house, and he also felt that it was a problem for you to leave the house as well.
He was able to leave the house, but just a couple blocks around our home, but he wasn't able for me to leave the house for long periods of time. I could leave the house for 1, 2, maybe 3 hours, but not a full day.
Oh, okay. And so what would happen? Will he have panic attacks?
Yes.
Anxiety?
Yes, exactly. It was panic attacks. And when we were outside, if he'd see people, it was social anxiety also, being scared of people and everything. So after 1 year, I saw that I still couldn't go back to work. So I had to find a solution, because my work was not going to continue supporting me by giving me time off. So that's when I decided to create my own home business to be able to work, provide financially for Thomas and I while being at home, and also providing him the support he needs.
Right. And is he homeschooled now, or is he going to school?
Yes. So there was 2 different chapters. In France, during the first episode, he couldn't, of course, go back to school. When he was able to start school again, we had one of his teachers who volunteered to come 1 hour twice a week to our home to help Thomas with 2 major subjects, which were French and math. So this teacher took on his personal time, days that he was not working, to come help Thomas. So that was just a blessing that this man could do this for us. And he really helped Thomas move forward. Once Thomas was feeling a little better, he said, hey, now instead of me coming to you, you're going to come and do the school at my house. So then we started going to this teacher's house twice a week. And I thought that was very beautiful of him to open up his home, his personal space, to one of his students. So we did that. And then he was also encouraging Thomas. Well, after that step, he said, how about now we do a course in the school, but just you and me closed in a class. So he was helping Thomas move forward.
So little steps.
Exactly. Yeah. And the fact that it was coming from this awesome teacher who had a really personal connection with Thomas, he was able to have him move forward maybe faster than I was, because I'm his mom. I'm always here. You don't feel like listening to your mom all the time. So this man really...
it's easier to turn down, I guess.
Exactly. And the fact that I'd say, let's try this, he'd say, no, I don't feel like it.
Especially as a teenager.
Yes. No. So this person really helped us with these moving forward, to the point that finally one day there was a huge school meeting with all the 2,000 kids in one room, and he asked Thomas to go to that school meeting with him. So Thomas went. He didn't sit down. He stood at the back of the room, but he was able to be in a room with 2,000 kids, which was just like a huge win.
Yes, wow, that's great.
It was incredible, yeah. And then in Canada, when this happened again, so he wasn't able to go to school, at first they sent us a substitute teacher once a week who'd come and work with Thomas 2 hours a day at home. But in Canada, this program only lasts 12 weeks maximum. It's called the homebound homeschooling. So we had that for 12 weeks, but after the 12 weeks, Thomas could still not go back to school. So they offered us an online schooling, which is through our province in Canada. It's called the BC Online Schooling. And Tama has been on that for the past 2 years now. No, 1.5 years. It's a program where he can take 2 subjects at a time. So right now he's doing English 12 and History 12 in order to be able to graduate. He should have graduated last year, but he did not have all the credits. So,
And that's fine.
and that's fine, yes. Well, there's no rush for that. And this organization, Tama has a dedicated teacher. He can Zoom call with that teacher. He can send emails. So there is the student connection. It's not just sending homework, you fill it out and you send it back. It's online work, but there is the interaction. And these teachers are also know about Tama's condition. So at first, Tama was not able to Zoom call with them. So I would do the Zoom call, take the questions and be like the middle person. But slowly but surely, Toma came on to these Zoom calls, and now he was able to do a couple weeks ago a 1.5 hour Zoom call, all in English, for a history exam.
Wow, big win.
Yes, huge wins. And Toma has also been doing for the past 1.5 years something that is called integrative body psychotherapy. It's with a naturopathic doctor that has an integrative body psychotherapy degree. And this is all about teaching Toma how to be in the now, how to be grounded, how to create your boundaries around yourself to protect yourself. And that has also been huge success.
Oh, that's great. You've noticed a lot of progress lately. And I wanted to ask you, because I know that you have family in Vancouver as well, but was it possible for Toma to see them, or were you the only person he wanted to see?
Yes, at the very first, I was the only person, and we weren't able to have anybody come into our apartment. But then little by little, we built that. So what I've also lived as a mother that's very hard is many people, family, even the closest family, do not understand Toma's issues and situations. They don't live it like I've been living it for the past 3 years. They don't understand it, and they're always trying to give me solutions. Oh, you should do this, or you should do that, or you should do that. And it's not solutions adapted to Toma. So sometimes I don't feel supported the way I should be. It's kind of hard to say, but yeah, it's
Yes, I guess sometimes people think they mean well, but they don't actually see what you see on a
yes,
daily basis. And you see his anxiety attacks. You also been to therapy with him. So I think it's another level of understanding of what he's going through.
yes,
And that must be very hard for you as
yes,
well.
yes. It is hard because I have to be strong to support Toma, but I have to be strong to keep myself up also. And that's one thing I found, that having lived this second big episode in Canada, so where I only have my mom and stepdad, it was a lot harder this time around.
Yes, for sure. Although it was the second time, it was harder in a way.
Yes, I was more used to it,
But
but
yes, also you knew what was about to come, so that must not be
yes,
easy
yes,
either.
yes. We've had good support from Toma's dad. Within the last 2.5 years, he has come out to visit us 5 times. So he comes out here and he stays with us, which are awesome moments for Toma and his dad to connect and to rebuild each other and rebuild their relationship after everything that's happened. But I noticed that Toma's dad, since he's not living this every day, he doesn't understand it sometimes, and he tries pushing Toma in directions that Toma is not ready for. So I try to say, hey, maybe you shouldn't push too hard on this, or try this way. And then he understands. But yeah, it's I could have never imagined that Toma's life in one night could go from awesome teenager life to these issues.
I can imagine. And is he keeping contact? Because you mentioned he has stepbrothers as well, and obviously his dad. Is he able to just keep contact and call them regularly?
Yes. His stepbrothers actually came out last summer with the dad for 3 weeks, so they all stayed with us, and it was a lot of fun. And for me, it was interesting to see Thomas and his stepbrothers interact on a daily basis because I had never seen that before. And Thomas speaks to them multiple times a week. They play video games together, and Thomas was not a very video game person before all these episodes. But now it has become part of his social life since he had not had time to make friends in Canada either. So we were blessed to have video games so that he could chat, he could be online with his friends in France and with his brothers and with his dad.
Oh, that's nice. And do you know what's next? Are you still going to therapy, the both of you, or just Thomas? What? How do you see the next few months?
So right now, Thomas thinks he's about 80% out of the issues. So that's very
Amazing.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. For me, I see the daily little progress. So it's awesome. He's able to go out by himself. He doesn't go very far by himself. He goes maybe 2-3 kilometers, but that's already huge for us. Whereas before he couldn't leave the apartment.
Oh no, yeah. Huge progress. That's great.
Every day he extends his boundaries. Right now, he's continuing his integrative body psychotherapy once a month. It used to be once a week, then we went to every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks. Now we're doing once a month. And he himself, is working on extending his boundaries. So I'm here to help.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So he is really
Yes.
eager to go through this.
Yes, he wants to start making friends here. He wants to be able to live like he was living before.
And I'm sure he will.
Yes, I can't wait.
And you know what? I think this is very brave that he is ready to face his trauma and talk to somebody. And I think
Yes.
this is something that we should all do in some extent. And yes, no, very, very brave of him. And I think it takes a lot of courage to
Yes.
do that.
That's one thing that I would always suggest is each time I have proposed a solution to Tuma, I haven't told him he has to do it. You have to do counseling. You have to do integrated body psychobody therapy. I have always suggested, do you want to try talking to a psychologist? It would be like this. It could bring you this. This is how a session works. And I have always given him the choice of how he wants to be treated.
So he could also go at his own pace.
Exactly. Yes. And choose the type of help that he felt best adapted for him.
Yeah, that's great. And I think it's very promising, and I hope we will be able to celebrate soon.
Yes, I hope so. And one of Tama's goal each time he has an integrative body psychotherapy session, at the end of the session, the doctor asks him, "What's your goal?" And for the last couple months, his goal is to be able to go to France on holidays and see the family.
Oh,
So he's aiming to big goals.
wow, yeah, so that means actually traveling, take the plane and see everybody. So that's huge, and that's so great that he's also setting very high goals.
Yes. Well, I have learned a lot about life during all of this, about courage, about how this courageous little young man is fighting day to day to regain his life. I have also learned how negative people can impact someone's life to a degree that's unimaginable. This has been a life experience. It's been very hard, but it's a life experience where Toma and I have learned a lot.
Yes, and also I imagine that your bond is even stronger than it was
Yes.
before. I can't even imagine just joint therapy, how much you need to communicate
Yes.
and be vulnerable. So that really must be something.
I wasn't in all the therapy sessions because some of them were just for him. I was maybe in 1/10 of them, but also the bond that we've created, because for the past basically 2 years, no, for the past 1.5 years, we have been together 24 hours a day.
I can imagine. And so did you go to therapy yourself, or was it only joint sessions with Thomas?
I took a few sessions, just me, with the naturopath who does integrative body psychotherapy, just
To so
to,
you'd be able to, yeah, because I imagine that obviously you need to protect him,
yes,
but you also need to protect yourself so that you are able to help him.
yes, exactly, exactly.
It's like, put your own safety mask first before you're able to
That
help
is
others, like
that is
in the
exactly.
pain.
If I'm not good, I can't help properly. So yeah.
And so the last question is if you could give us any piece of advice that you would like to share.
The piece of advice that I'd like to share is from this whole experience is really communicate with your children. Don't be too hard on yourself like I have been on myself when I found out that for 13 years I had not seen something, because our kids can hide things from us to protect us and to protect themselves. And once you see that something is wrong or that something is not normal, get help right away. Do not say, oh, it's going to pass, or this is just a phase or something. No, it's get help right away. Get all the help you can, all the suggestions you can. And my last bit of advice was for all these people who mean well and who want to help us but are actually not helping us, try not to let it affect you too much.
Fair enough. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story today. It was such a pleasure, and I learned so many things that I didn't know, so it was very good to talk about it. And all the best to the two of you,
Thank you.
and I hope to see you soon.
Okay, thank you, Julie. It was a pleasure, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening. Feel free to share if you think it might be helpful to someone you know. If you enjoyed this episode, then please make sure to write a review if you're listening on Apple Podcast, and subscribe if you haven't already. That's it for me. See you soon with the next episode, and in the meantime, have a lovely day.